Okay, so the recording is started. So for this example, I'm going to be demonstrating the modeling of a violin. So hopefully I will try to block out majority of the parts of the violin within this single video here. So I already identified a good reference picture that I found on the internet here. So this is an excellent picture. It contains various views, okay, the top, the side, and then the back view, front as well, and then as well as the cross section. The particular area which I'm much more interested in is this neck or the scroll area here. So this one I will feel that is a little bit more challenging for beginners to model. So I'll actually start to tackle this scroll section first. Right, so I got my reference, and at the same time, if you go to an image search, right, you will be able to find other references available. So I'm going to pre-process this image first using an image editor. You can use Photoshop, or I'm using Photo P here. And then I'm just going to drop this image, right, which I already placed in my projects source images folder. So I'm going to drag this image and then process it. Okay, as usual, my technique is to convert this image into a square image first. So right now this image doesn't look, it's obvious it's not a square image. So I'm going to change this into a square image. I'm going to copy the longest dimension, Control C and then Control V, and paste over the shorter dimension over the canvas size. Then I'm going to re-export this image and overwrite the original image. So now I process this image. I'm going to overwrite the image that I placed in my source images project folder. So I'm going to overwrite this. And then now I can go into Maya and start a new scene. And the first thing I always start is to create my reference. So I'll go and create a plane. And plane with only one division, and then this one I will just apply it with a surface shader. Right mouse click on it, go to the surface shader, and then set the out color to represent the violin. Press number 6 on the viewport, and then there we have it. Alright, so as usual, in the top view, right, I'm going to line up my top view first. Okay, select the reference, and then I'm going to rotate this, holding down the J, and have the violin pointing downwards like that. So this is the top view. And I'm going to use the center line as my lineup reference. Then I'm going to press D and move the pivot point roughly in the center here. Press D again to get out. And then we can fine tune the movement until we get it to be as central as possible. And if you have to rotate to straighten it, you can do that as well. Okay, I think this is good enough. Okay, so my, let me go back to the top view again. Maybe I want to use the center here as the dead center for the violin. So I'm going to change my pivot point here. Once your top view is lined up, you push the top view downwards in the Z, in the Y axis here. Then holding down the shift while in the move mode, then just duplicate another cone. And then I'm going to rotate this in the Z axis 90 degrees. Press E, holding down the J, and then rotate it 90 degrees. Then just bring this down, push this back, okay, along the X axis. So we're going to switch over to the right view now. And we're just going to put this violin, right? I think I want it to be, I want the scroll to be the edge here touching this thick line here, representing the ground. So this violin, when I finish it, should be floating above the grid line here. Okay, so I think this looks good. So next, I'm going to duplicate another plane here, then rotate this, holding down J, and then 90 degrees to face the front axis. So I'm going to look for the front of the violin. So now I'm going to change to the front view. And I'm going to look for the front view here. So this is actually more of the back view. Okay, it shows the back, the base here. Okay, I'm trying to see whether is there a front view reference that I can use. Apparently it doesn't look like it has it. Okay, but that is fine. I can still use the back view as my reference. So I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. Then I'm going to put this one over here. So I think this is upside down now. I want this one to be facing upwards. So let me rotate it another 180 degrees. Okay, so now I need to move the pivot point to the black area here. So press D, and press D again to get out. And I'll just put this right here. Okay, roughly around the center. Okay, so although this is the back view, I think we have enough information, right, to actually model this. So right now, I will put all these references in their own layers and lock them. Click on the third button to change to R. So now I can't select them anymore. Alright, so let me just start with the scroll first. Alright, so the scroll, right, you take a look at it, right, it's a spiral shape that rolls around like that. And if you go over to the internet to search for references, just look for Violin scroll. Okay, you should be able to see a lot of pictures, close-ups of how the shape actually looks like. So you can look at this and you can see that there's a very nice curve and cross-section, right, as it twirls all the way up. So now we have to study, how do we approach the modeling of this shape? Now, we can start with a mesh and then we can slowly extrude bit by bit and then start to create it like that. But actually, a good way, right, if you take a close look at this, right, you can see that this is actually a spiral. So what we can do is that we can create a spiral-based shape, and then we can slowly create the shape from there. And in Maya itself, right, we can already create a spiral shape. If you go over to Helix, right, you can use the Helix tool, right, to create a spiral. Okay, so let me just, before I create it, let me just count how many loops. Let's go to the right view first. And let's see how many loops, right, does this go around. Okay, it goes, okay, 1 round, 2 rounds. Okay, and actually it's about 2.5 rounds. Right, so let's make it, make a spiral of 2 rounds and see how it goes. So I'm going to create a helix, go and create a helical shape. And of course, we want to simplify this. We go over to the inputs, and the number of coils, right, we know that it's only 2, so we just go to 2. And we're going to reduce the number of subdivisions. Just want to keep it as simple as possible, and then the coils also just reduce this. And also the width and height, right, we can start off with the basics first. Let me just use the default values first. The coil, I think this is good enough. Okay, but we also need another object to help us. You will notice that for the spiral shape, it is deformed. That means, right, if you look at the side of the spiral, it starts out small, then it gradually expands outwards. Alright, so we need to use a deformer, right, to actually change the shape. Then later, right, we can manually move the shape to form it. So I'm deliberately using a low number of faces here, because later I know that I can subdivide this. If I press number 3, I can subdivide this to get the smooth curve that I want. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is, I'm going to start off with the, okay, let me see how many subdivisions for the radius I can use. Okay, I think 4 will look good enough. Okay, and this is only 2 coils. Maybe I try 1 coil. I don't need 2 coils. 1 coil should be enough. Yeah, this one looks good. Right, then the next thing is I want to do is that I want to expand the bottom here. So I'll have to use a deformer. So I'm going to use a deformer. And I'm going to apply a lattice deformer. Okay, first I need to go over and select the vertices that I want to be affected first in component mode, then go to deform, then use the lattice deformer. Okay, the lattice deformer, let's try excuse me, using the default number of subdivisions first. Okay, right now I realize my height subdivision is too much. Let me see whether I can change it over here. Reduce the number to just like that, 2 by 2. I think it's good enough. So now I'm going to select the lattice point, the bottom lattice points. Okay, and then I'll scale it up. So I have this, you can see this shape, right, that is gradually forming. The bottom, right, is bigger than the top. Alright, I think I have this basic shape ready. It's a good starting point. I'll press all 5 to turn on the wireframe unshaded. Then I will go over to delete away the deformer history. So edit, delete by type, history. So now the deform is permanent. So now with this base shape, right, I can start to model the scroll. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees because this is lined up with the side view. Then I'll move this object, right, until it is lined up with the scroll. Okay, now I realize that the scroll, right, is rotating in the wrong direction. So not a problem, I can flip this using the mirror tool. Okay, I can go to the mesh and then I click on mirror. And I want to mirror it along the world's z-axis. Okay, and then I'll just mirror. Okay, then I will have to move because I'm not at the center point here, I'll just move the mirror like that. So you need to move the center point to the other side like that. So mirror, do I want to clone? Okay, never mind. When I mirror, right, I have actually another object on the other side, so I'll have to get rid of this one. Double click select the faces and get rid of this, and I'll center the pivot. Delete away the history, and I should be able to move this back over here. So right now I'm looking at the scroll here. I'm going to rotate this. Okay, right now my rotation is a bit off. Let me freeze the transformation. Okay, rotation seems a bit off. I'm going to reset the tool here and freeze the transformation. Okay, let me see my freeze transformation. It seems that to be, let me reset this one as well. Yeah, my freeze transformation is not working, so we reset this. Freeze the transform. Okay, good. Okay, now rotation is reset. I will move this one over here. Scale this down until it roughly matches the size of the scroll. And then I'll rotate this to the starting point of the scroll, which is roughly around here. Okay, so now from the looks of it, right, I think I might have to increase the number of spirals, but I think I should be able to extrude this out from here. Alright, so actually, right, I will just need about one face, right, to start to extrude, and then I will slowly build up the faces later. So first, I will get rid of the center face here, and the center face over here. Then I'll get rid of this scroll here. You can select this face, then shift, double click, delete this. Okay, until you have a flat face like this, you can see that it has a nice scroll going out like that. Then if I press number 3, you can see that we really have a very nice spiral that is going out like that. So let's go to our right view. And let's position the scroll until it matches. So what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to apply a semi-transparent material onto this scroll. And then I can start to slowly extrude the surfaces to create the neck area here. So go over to the material itself, apply a new material. I'm going to use Lambert, and then I'm going to give it a different color, and also apply a transparency. Okay, so now I can see through this much easier. Alright, so we'll start by going over to the edges here. We're going to move the edge bit by bit until it starts to match the scroll shape. You can also switch over to vertex mode. Then from this option here, okay, we only have two edges here. We can hold down the shift and extrude, then rotate. Okay, for this one, right, to be much more accurate, we have to use split to two views. And then one of the views, right, we want to change over to the front view. So press number 6 to activate the front view. Okay, so for the front view, right, we will have to borrow the this image over here to act as our reference. So I'm going to move the front reference. Okay, so I move the front reference down. Okay, move the front reference down until I find the scroll. Just roughly here, like that. So I'm going to use this one as a reference first, because I want to see how much the scroll actually goes out. And so I can see from here very clearly, right, the scroll, right, actually comes down the spiral quite gently. So that means I have to scale this thing or move this entire piece outwards a bit more. So I'm going to select the entire piece and then just move it out a little bit. Then I think this one, right, just going to temporarily move the pivot point here so I can manipulate this reference. I'm going to put this one right about here, okay, so that I can see where the scroll, right, is coming down from here. So I can see very clearly now that the scroll, the spiral is a bit too strong. I mean, as in the distance between the spiral is too strong. So I'm going to scale this to make it a little bit flatter. Okay, so select all the faces, and then I'm going to use scale it down roughly like that, and then push this one up like this. Okay, so just now I've extruded a edge here, these two edges here. So this one I'm just going to put it down slightly like that. Okay, and then right now go over to the right view. Then I can continue to extrude out, holding down the shift with the two edges selected. Then rotate. You can use scale also to scale up. And finally one more extrusion. And then this one I want to push it down slightly. And the final piece over here. So we have now created the base starting point for our scroll. Okay, right now I'm just manipulating the vertices, right, so that it follows this circular pattern here. Okay, you can see here that I'm trying to get it to follow the pattern as much as I can. Alright, so now we have our base spiral pattern model already. So now we just want to connect the side walls here. So I'm going to switch the material back, okay, to the more solid material. So I'm going to assign the object, right? Okay, I'm going to rename the current material. I'm going to call this model transparent. And then I'm going to assign another new material, or an existing material like Lambert 1, which is the default material. And I'm just going to reduce it, make it a little bit more gray in the shade. Yeah, like that. So I can see what I'm modeling here. Okay, so if you take a look at this, you can see that now we have our base shade here. And the thing is, now we need to create the internal sides over here. So let's see, where can we approach this here. If I go over to level 1, okay, so this is what we have so far. And I think one of the spirals, right, which is this spiral edge here, right, should be pushed inwards, because the scroll, right, actually have this this texture that is going inwards like that. Alright, so and then again, right now this shape, entire shape here, it looks too deep already. So I'm gonna select the whole piece here. Then I'm gonna reduce the scaling a bit, and then move it out slightly. Okay, so it's looking good. Okay, so now this end piece here, the end edge here, I need it to be completely flat like that. So I'm gonna select these three. And then I'm going to use scale and then flatten it like that. So I'm going to press number 3 to see it subdivide, see what it looks like. Okay, it's looking good. I'm going to go to level 1 again, and now the tricky part is to create the walls to connect to the bottom here. So this one, right, I will have to try to do this one edge at a time, and just make sure that there's enough edge, right, to like bridge from this section to this section. So go over to this edge here, I'm going to just bridge this one first. Okay, and then I'm going to continue from here. Press G to repeat last command, so that will bridge. These two here, and then press G to bridge. And for the rest, right, we will literally have to extrude out another edge here. Select this edge, extrude out a vertical edge here, then I'm going to select these two here and then bridge. Shift right mouse click and then bridge. Okay, and then this edge here, I'm going to extrude out. Select these two edges here and then bridge. And then finally these two here, I think they are good enough for bridging. Press G to repeat. And now you can see that we have a continuous loop on the top here, or opening hole here, which we can use circularize, right, to rearrange this into a circle. So shift right mouse click, go and apply a circularize. Okay, so now we have a nice circle. So I'm just going to move the circle, right, while it's selected, move it until it's nicely selected around this circle here. And let's do our press number 3 to subdivide it and see what it looks like. Okay, so doesn't look too bad, but we need to insert some hard edges or bevels, right, to harden the corners here. So now we can cap this circular shape here. So we can select this and then we can extrude inwards. Okay, we will use offset. Okay, if offset doesn't want to work, okay, because this is not a complete face, so let me undo that. What I'm going to do is I'll just fill up the hole first. Fill the hole. Okay, let's go back to level 1. And I think I'll need to scale this down a little bit. Scale the face down a little bit, like that. Yeah. Then I can extrude. Then I can use offset. Okay, hold on to control offset. and then just a small bit like that, and then press G again to extrude, or we can hold on to the scale, hold on to the shift, and then extrude. But I already extruded one, so this one I'll just push it inwards. Okay, good. So now we have to figure out a way, right, to fix this area here. Let me press my tree and see how we're doing. Okay, the scroll looks good. Just that this edge here, right, needs to be tighter. But let me just remove some of the vertices, right, to match the reference first. So we're going to reassign to the lambert material, existing material. Let's go to model transparent, okay, then go to the right view. Okay, so far so good. Everything looks like it's matching, except maybe perhaps this curve here. We need to move this, spread this out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put this roughly in the center line here. Okay, these two right should be almost crossing over each other. Same for this one. Okay, I definitely need to add one more edge loop around here to push this one out. Okay, but let's see whether we can fix it by moving the spreading out the vertices. I think maybe this will fix the shape. So I'll say that the scroll part is, I would say, the more challenging area. So that's why I'm tackling it first compared to the rest of the violin. Okay, looking good. Right, so now I'm just going to move these vertices to match the side view references. So these ones should be, I guess, further down a little bit. Okay, the other side, I think this one needs to come out a little bit more. Alright, so now we are following the, the spiral shape. Okay, so I'm happy with this now. So we change this back to the shaded view. And I'm going to add a few edge loops, right, to just tighten the corners. Like this one over here, and this one over here. So I'm going to apply a bevel for these two loops here. Maybe bevel doesn't work that well, so I'm going to undo that. I'm going to use, okay, slide this loop here, and I use the crease instead. So shift right mouse click, apply a crease. So middle mouse click and then just increase the crease, and now it looks a little bit better. Okay, so these vertices I will need to push it down some more. Okay, I think I'll now continue to just extrude this neck section here until we end probably around here. So I'll just select this two edges here. Moving on the shift and extrude one section here. Rotate this. And I'm going to flatten them. And extrude out. Rotate. Extrude out. Rotate using scale. And holding down the shift and then just extrude out. Okay, maybe one section here like that. Until we reach to this point. Alright, so now we will have to create the thickness of this neck here. So I will select the open edge here by double clicking on it. So this entire edge is now selected. Then you can just simply, I'm going to extrude out one tiny section first, holding down the shift and extrude out one tiny section like that. Then after that, holding down shift again and then extrude another one. So this is in order for us to hold the hard edge around here. Okay. Then while the entire edge is still selected, we can use scale and then force all of them to line up together in a straight line. So use the scale, right, to flatten it. Then we can put this in the center. Alright, so now you can see we created the scroll, and then also if you need to add this depression here, we can add another continuous edge loop around here to push it in. So which is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to just use the multi-cut tool and middle mouse click and add a center edge loop over here. Then I will manually go over to selection mode. I'm going to just switch my material for the scroll. Let me just select the object. Right mouse click and assign it with the transparent material so that I can go to the vertices and start to push it in to form the scroll area. Now, I want it to be a consistent depression that goes all around the scroll. So I'm going to select the vertices that runs across it. So this one I will have to select it slowly. Maybe this one here, and then this one, until I reach all the way here. Maybe holding down the shift and double click. So this entire row of vertices is now selected. And then I'll go over to the right view. And then I'll just use the scale tool to just scale it inwards, so that it has this very gentle depression that goes all around like that. Like what you can see over here right now. And then I just want to adjust it a bit so that it forms this very nice scroll scroll effect. And now you can see that we have successfully created the scroll. Okay, I'm going to switch this to the existing material, back to the Lambert 1 material again, and then let's take a look. Alright, doesn't look too bad. Okay, of course there's still some refinement that we need to do. Maybe I want to collapse these vertices into itself. So maybe I'll extrude again. And then I will hold down to Control, right mouse click, to vertices, Then I'll hold on to Shift, right mouse click, and then just say merge everything together. Yeah, like that. And to keep that circular object, right, I'll double click on this edge here, and I will apply a crease tool to increase the crease. Okay, you need to hold the middle mouse click to force it to crease up like that. So okay, we got a not too bad looking scroll. Okay, at least not too terrible looking scroll for first attempt. Now, of course, if you want to refine it further, you still have to push and pull the vertices until you get the scroll to look as good as possible with the help of the reference. Alright, so I'm happy with this half right now. Now I'm going to get rid of these faces here because I'm going to continue to connect it to the other half later on. These two faces, so I'm going to get rid of that here. And just to see how my scroll will look like eventually, I'm going to create a duplicate. So let's go to the front view here. Then I'm going to move the center point, holding down the X, move it until it is holding on the X so that it can snap to the center. We want to snap it to the center. Let me undo that. Okay, press D one more time. I'm going to see whether I can align it in the center here. And then reorient this. Okay, so okay, the pivot point is still not correct. I'm gonna recenter it again. Then press D. Then put it in the center line here. Okay. Okay, for some reason it doesn't want to go to the center line, so I will have to just manually put it in the center here first. Alright, so now I'm going to duplicate a special in the x-axis, edit, duplicate special, create an instance, -1 scale, and I'll just apply, and then you can have a preview of what the scroll looks like. Okay, so definitely this area here from the top view, okay, we still need to tweak a little bit. Okay, and then this section actually needs to come out a little bit more. spend some time to tweak this, but I think for first attempt, I think this one is good enough. Alright, so now I'm going to just block out the rest of the violin. So I'm going to create this, the neck area here. So I'll just, again, grab the faces. Let's go to level 1. I'm going to grab this edge, starting from this edge, and then holding down Control, Shift, double click. So you will select this entire hole here. And then just we're going to continue to extrude all the way to here. So holding down the shift, I'm going to extrude one small section here. Okay, there's a transition point here. So let me switch back to the existing material, model transparent. We can go to object, existing material. We're just going to select the vertices. Okay, I think the other half I need to apply the same transparent material as well, so that I can see through. Yeah, so I extruded a small section here so that I can create this transition. So this one, I'll just put this one here. And going back to the edge, the same edges will still be selected. Okay, but I do not want to select so far away. I just want to try that again. Select this one, then holding down the shift, double click. Yeah, then we continue to extrude. Holding down the shift, extrude. Extrude all the way here. And extrude another section here. Switch over to the vertex mode. And create a connection point. Okay, let me just tweak this area here first. Do the transition. Okay, right now I'm going to make sure that there's enough subdivisions here later on when we cut the holes, okay, to put in the string holes, the collets, I guess, to tighten the strings. So just make sure that there's enough subdivisions there for me to model a hole through there later. Okay, now let's switch back to the edge mode. You can see over here, I'm just creating an extrusion point and seeing the bottom part here, and also selecting those two vertices and merging them together. So now I created the neck. So the thickness of the neck might not be accurate. So right now let's fix that from the top view. So we can grab these vertices over here and then just push it up slightly and even rotate them slightly so it follows the blueprint. Okay, so we more or less blocked out the neck of the neck and then the scroll. So this, I'll say that this is the most challenging part of the violin. The rest will be fairly straightforward. Okay, let me select these two and then assign it back to the solid material again. Okay, good. So now let's just quickly block out the body. So for the body, right, we just need to use a create polygon tool. So this one, let me just rename this. I'll call this scroll neck. And then let me just save my file. Okay, so this is a very good drawing. It shows you different areas where the thickness of the violin, right, is indicated by these circles here. So what I'll do is I'll use this as a point, right, to plant my key point area. So the tool that I'm going to use is the create polygon tool. So I'll go to the create polygon tool and start by drawing one in the center here, and the second one, just going to use the grids, right, to help me spread out the number of vertices that I need to click on. So now when I come out to this area here, I just have to use a little bit more detail. Okay, that's it. Now press enter to finish. Okay, so now this face, if it's black, that means it's flipped. We can go to mesh display and then reverse this. So what we have created is a multi-sided polygon face. And of course, if I press number 3 to subdivide this, it's going to become a mess. So we need to use the multi-cut tool, right, to give us, or at least split the mesh so that it becomes a quad. Alright, so let's go over to the vertex mode and see where the vertex is. Okay, one of the first things I'll do is that I'll join these two right together. I'm going to use the connect tool, so select these two vertices, putting down the shift and then connect. Press enter to finish the connect, and then you can see the line is being cut across. So next I want to see where else can I connect. So maybe this two here. Press G to connect. And maybe this two over here. Press G, repeat last command, connect, press enter to finish. Then the next I will just use the multi-cut tool. So for multi-cut tool, right, I want to make sure that everything is four-sided faces. So I'll start by, you can go over the edge, left mouse click and drag until it hits the vertex, then go over to the other side, left mouse click, cut, press enter. Like so. So this one, I'm just going to cut it across like that, and then cross here like this. So the key here is to make sure you cut until everything is four-sided. All the faces are four-sided, because we know that four-sided faces subdivide much better. Okay, we don't worry about it being crooked for now, because we can use the scale tool to realign and straighten them later on. Okay, maybe I'll cut one here so that we have more detail, right, to mess around with. Like, oh, this, I'm going to put it all the way across. Okay, so now comes the straightening. We use the scale tool. Definitely here I need one more extra detail here. Okay, next we can double click to select this entire edge and then straighten this. Double click, and then straighten this. Okay, good. So now we have a completely flat section here that we can start to bulge out. So if you look at the violin, right, it actually bulges out in this section over here. So the center line, okay, let me just grab the center line here and just move it up slightly. Click to just move this up. See the center portion here, I'm going to use the vertex right to just push this down. So now I'm going to use my right view. I'm going to move this entire piece here, go over the object mode. Move it until it's right at the edge here like that. And you can see the center portion here bulges out quite a bit. Alright, so I'm going to just grab the center vertex, or rather the center edges. Right about maybe here. And then maybe I'm going to turn on soft selection, press B, holding down the B and then mouse click, and then gradually let it influence the rest. Then just pull this up until it reaches here. Like that. We can press number 3, go to soft selection mode, or rather press number 3 to subdivide your violin. Okay, I think I have to freeze my reference right now because I keep accidentally selecting it. Okay, so pressing number 3, you can see that we get this bulge, nice bulge that we want. And let's take a look at the front view. So we have the front view here. It shows the bulge of the violin. So I'm going to unfreeze my reference, select the front view, and then just move it to the front again. I'm going to press D and bring the pivot point. Bring the pivot point of the reference down to the center point here, roughly around here. Yep. Okay, and then I'll just bring this up until it's lined up with the cross section. Like so. Okay, good. Now we can see how much we're supposed to pull up, especially in the center area here. Okay, so now I'm going to freeze my transformation, my reference, then select the violin body. Okay, soft section is still on, so I'm going to reduce the range a bit. And since the bottom right looks pretty much the same, actually on second thought, I think I will just concentrate on the front for now. So right now you can use the soft section tool to sculpt the shape of the violin out. So we want this thing to be gradual. Yeah, since the side of the violin, we're going to have this ornate holes that's going to be cut into it, right? So I think I'm just going to duplicate one piece for the bottom first. So just holding down the shift and then just clone another one. I'm going to use the mirror tool to mirror this shape so that it is the reverse at the bottom here. So I'll use the mesh mirror, but I'm going to mirror in the y-axis this time. So mirror, I'm gonna move the bottom like that. So now I mirrored it. Then I will delete the top piece, and then this bottom piece, and you notice the color looks strange, right? Just gonna reassign it with the existing lambda material, and then it should be fine. Alright. So this piece here, I'm gonna call it the bottom. Okay, and then I just realized, right, the outer edge here, we need it to be flat. So select this edge here. I'm going to press B to turn off soft selection. Then shift, double click, shift, double click, shift, double click. Okay, I'm moving it step by step until I reach, oops, I'm going to do that. Only want to reach here. I do not want to select the center line like that. That's because I want to create a hard edge. Now before I do that, let me scale and flatten it like that first. Okay, so now it's nice and flat. I'm going to do the same for the bottom one here as well. For the edge. Actually, just double click to select the open edge, and then we will deselect the center. This is here. So holding down the control and just drag the box over the edges in the center line that you don't want to select. Then scale and then flatten it, like so. Okay, so now the issue here is that if I were to extrude this, right, we're going to lose some of this round, nice curved area here because we have this very hard edge. Okay, so we might have to reflow the topology a little bit later on. Okay, but let's see what happens when we extrude out the edge. Alright, so now we have the edge. Okay, just an experiment first. Let me just try to extrude out one small section. Not this one here. Extrude out one small section and holding on the shift and extrude another section. But actually it doesn't look that bad, so it still looks quite okay. Yeah, I can live with this. Yeah, the edges here, I just need to tweak it a little bit later on. Yeah, this one works. So I'll just have to select this vertex and then push it back a little bit to give it a much more nicer rounded edge here. So this works. Alright, so for the bottom piece, maybe I'll just hide this first press H to hide it. So the tricky part now is to create this hole that is being cut like that. So let's go over to the top view and assign a transparent material to this. And we'll just create polygon tool and draw this shape out. So this one is a bit unique. Yeah, adjust that one later on, but right now I'm just trying to finish drawing this one first. Okay, so let's go over to the vertex. Okay, the object I think is hiding below, so let me just bring this up first. Go to the top view. Okay, let's go over to the vertex. So for this piece, right, I'm just going to extrude one long piece here and then just use the I'm going to be using the Boolean tool to just cut a hole here. Then after that, I will refine the topology here. So you can see there's a lot of lines here that I will have to go and reflow. So right now, I just want to make sure that my vertices are evenly distributed. Not too crazy. Maybe this one I need to push this up. Okay, I need to add another subdivision here. Maybe. Okay. Okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. I'll just have to use a knife tool to cut the vertex. Okay, so I'll use this multi-cut to cut from here to here. That will give me another extra vertex. But I don't need this edge, so Control Delete. Oops, I'm gonna do that. I actually wanted to just delete the edge only. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the vertex. Okay, good. Everything is nice and even. Right now, I can extrude out this entire face. Just a vertical face like that. And then I'm just going to bevel it and cut through this. So, have it cut through like that. Select this object, shift like this. Shift right mouse click, then use Boolean. Let's see, Boolean, and then say A minus B. And then we'll end up with this option here. And you can see the Boolean tool actually subdivides for us, so that we ended up with a lot of subdivisions. Okay, let me just go over to the Boolean settings, and let's see. Okay, this is a new Boolean that I've been using. Well, perhaps, right, maybe the cutting of this hole, right, we can reserve this to the end. Yeah. So at least we can see that this actually works. So for the face here, we will have to manually carefully select these faces and delete them. So if you want this to be permanent, you will have to this is the result actually. I subdivide it. It doesn't look that good. Okay, let me just undo this. See how far I can go. Okay, maybe I should go to level 1 for my original object. Okay, if I delete away the history, of course, it will become permanent. But let's see. Yeah, so I end up with this heavily subdivided model here, and there's a lot of vertices that we will have to move in order to smooth out the holes here. And you can see that we will end up with a lot of multi-sided faces as well. So that is not ideal, okay, because you have to spend time to really clean up the holes here. Okay, this one. Okay, sometimes if you end up with faces like that, you can just merge them. Or rather, vertices, merge the all them together. Okay, this one again, you can merge them. Press G by using repeat last command. So yeah, this is the cleanup that that you will need to do. Okay, but now the good thing is that we have a lot of vertices. We can start to follow the outline, and then we end up with a nice rounded curve. So this is the tedious part. Okay, later I have to do some cleanup in the side of the violin as well, because you can see there's a lot of unnecessary topology on the side. Okay, so where are the unnecessary topology lines? Especially these lines over here. There's way too many edge groups, so if I go over the edges, like these, yeah, you can see the whole edge loop that's selected around here. You can press Ctrl Delete and remove it. Okay, at least we now managed to cut the this outline here. Okay, it's not perfect. Okay, definitely need to spend more time to tweak the shape here, especially here to make it rounder. Okay, need to merge these. Okay, I'll probably come back to tweak this area again, but I'll just leave the shape like that for now, and then let me just unhide my bottom. So the bottom panel, I can actually do this separately, and maybe even subdivide this. Let's go to mesh and smooth this. Let's go to level 1, mesh, and then smooth this. Okay, there's no way that we can connect this bottom to the top here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna select. I'm gonna borrow the edge here. Just save another version here. Increment and save. Hit down shift, double click, shift, double click. Then extrude out one small edge here. And then hold on shift again and then extrude another edge. Just to seal up the bottom and see what it looks like. Let me just assign this with the number 1 material and see what it looks like. Same for this one. Number 1. Okay, for the mesh display, I'm gonna set it to harden edge, soften harden edge. So the edges that are supposed to be soft will be soft, the edges will be hard will be hard. Okay, so using the duplicate special tool again, edit. You can create the other half, same for the bottom. Okay, 1 and 3, okay, 3. Okay, interesting. The original poly surface is still there. So I don't need this now. I can delete this. Alright, I think I will stop the video for now because it's long enough.